Welcome to another episode of Mastering Cybersecurity, developed by baremetalcyber.com. Let's dive in. There are two main types of footprints, and the difference helps beginners reason about risk. An active footprint appears when someone deliberately shares information, like writing a review, posting a photo, or completing a profile field on a service. A passive footprint forms in the background when systems record data without an explicit post, such as saving a search query, noting a location check, or measuring time spent on a page. The active type feels visible because there is an obvious action, while the passive type feels invisible because no message appears. Both combine to describe habits, preferences, and routines with surprising detail over time. Seeing the distinction turns vague privacy worries into specific choices about sharing and collection. Footprints arise from many places that work together more often than people realize. Web browsing tools record visits and clicks, while mobile apps can log usage, locations, and device capabilities during normal sessions. Email accounts hold years of conversations and attachments that reveal contacts, schedules, and topics across personal and work contexts. Connected devices like wearables, smart speakers, and home cameras generate event records that may sync to vendor clouds. Even offline actions become digital when loyalty cards log purchases or forms get scanned into customer systems for future reference. When these sources connect through sign-ins and shared identifiers, the picture becomes broader and more searchable. Thinking in sources helps people decide which environments should be more private than others. Collection rarely stops at raw events because many organizations combine and infer more information over time. Platforms tie account logins to behavior across devices, which lets them see that a person who searches for hiking boots also watches trail videos on a tablet. Advertisers and analytics firms aggregate browsing and app patterns to create interest categories that travel between partners. Data brokers purchase, merge, and resell files from many sources to build segments that estimate income range, household size, or likely hobbies. Inference turns a few direct facts into broader assumptions that may be right, wrong, or out of date. Those assumptions often persist longer than expected because they live in copies maintained by multiple parties. Knowing that inference exists helps people interpret why they see certain offers or price variations. Unmanaged footprints carry risks that range from simple embarrassment to serious harm. Privacy loss can occur when a routine post exposes location patterns, such as leaving home at the same time every weekday. Targeted scams use public details to craft convincing messages that reference a recent purchase or a family name. Oversharing can reveal security questions or hints that allow someone to reset an account, especially when birthdays and pet names appear together. Fraudsters may combine public posts with data broker files to impersonate a person during a support call. Reputation damage can arise when old content appears in new contexts, such as a casual joke resurfacing during a job search. Seeing these scenarios clarifies why small choices about sharing and settings matter every week. Footprints are not purely negative because they enable useful features when handled with intention. Personalization can surface relevant content or reorder menus based on real preferences, which saves time for frequent tasks. Safety tools use location trails to share an arrival time with trusted contacts or to find a lost device. Professional branding works through profiles, portfolios, and thoughtful posts that highlight work, community involvement, or certifications. The difference between help and harm often depends on audience, purpose, and control, which are choices people can influence. A profile optimized for a job search, for example, avoids casual details and concentrates on skills and outcomes. Framing benefits alongside risks helps people design a footprint that serves their goals without oversharing. Basic privacy ideas provide a simple language for evaluating collection and use. Consent is a clear agreement to collect and use data for stated reasons, rather than implied acceptance through confusing screens. Purpose limitation says information gathered for one reason should not be reused for unrelated reasons without further permission. Data minimization urges services to collect only what is necessary for a task instead of everything that might be interesting later. Many regulations, such as the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, and the California Consumer Privacy Act, CCPA, grant rights to access, correct, or delete certain information. These ideas appear in policies, settings, and request forms across major services. Knowing the words makes it easier to recognize fair treatment and spot vague promises. A beginner-friendly self-audit turns abstract privacy talk into concrete awareness. Start by searching for your name with obvious variations. Then note what appears on the first few pages and which sites host the results. Next, sign in to major accounts and review profile fields, connected apps, and security pages that show active sessions. Ad preference dashboards often reveal interest categories and inferred demographics that can be adjusted or turned off. Many services allow a data export that includes photos, messages, or activity logs, which helps people see what exists beyond the visible screens. Messages and cloud drives sometimes contain sensitive scans like identification cards or tax documents that deserve stronger protections. Treat the audit like a map that identifies surprising exposures and easy wins. Everyday browsing and sign-in habits shape passive collection more than most people expect. Tracker blocking tools and privacy-respecting browsers reduce the number of parties that see each visit, especially when third-party cookies are involved. Clearing cookies or using separate browser profiles can prevent unrelated sites from sharing a single trail across many sessions. Signing in everywhere can make experiences smoother while also connecting more events to one profile, which may be fine for some contexts but excessive for others. Social posts travel far when they are public by default, so adjusting audience settings changes how widely the trail spreads. Incognito modes are useful for keeping local history cleaner, yet they do not hide activity from networks or websites. Small browsing choices accumulate into noticeably different footprints. Devices and networks add another layer of control that beginners can learn without special tools. App permissions govern access to location, microphone, contacts, and photos, and many settings allow one-time or approximate access rather than permanent or precise access. Turning off Bluetooth scanning or limiting wireless auto-join behavior reduces background beacons that reveal presence in crowded places. A virtual private network, VPN, can hide an IP address from websites by routing traffic through another server, while also concentrating trust in the VPN provider. Choosing a domain name system, DNS, resolver that supports encryption limits who can observe which sites are being looked up on a network. Separating sensitive work to a different device account or home network reduces crosstalk between profiles. Combining these ideas creates a clearer boundary between contexts. Certain life moments and roles deserve extra attention because the costs of mistakes rise. Families with children can set profiles to private, delay location sharing, and disable photo metadata to reduce accidental exposure of routines. Students and job seekers should review older public posts and refresh biographies to emphasize projects, skills, and achievements rather than casual commentary. Small business owners benefit from separating personal and business accounts, keeping vendor dashboards tidy, and documenting who manages profiles and keys. Public-facing professionals can schedule periodic searches of their names and adjust comments or replies to reflect the audience they regularly reach. In all these cases, small rules agreed upon early prevent bigger cleanups later. Thinking by role helps prioritize the most helpful changes. A healthy footprint is not the absence of data, but the presence of intention. It begins with a clear definition that distinguishes active sharing from passive collection, because that distinction turns vague worries into specific decisions. Common connectors like cookies, IP addresses, device IDs, fingerprinting, and metadata explain how the trail becomes personally meaningful across services. Risks include privacy loss, location exposure, targeted fraud, and reputation harm, while benefits include personalization, safety features, and professional branding when audience and purpose are chosen carefully. A simple routine of periodic searches, dashboard reviews, and mindful settings keeps the trail accurate, proportionate, and aligned with real goals. With steady attention, a footprint can reflect values rather than accidents. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.